Eddie, thank you for joining us. A new section called Pathway Spotlight. Just to have a conversation with each member of the staff, each member of the team. We're looking to do this on a regular basis. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, we'll wait for feedback as well from the audience, from other staff members. But thank you for joining.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Eddie, just to start off with, you and I have now been working together for nearly two years. Nearly 2 years. How's your journey been with Pathway? And just go through that with us, if you don't mind.
Well, it's been full of change, as you probably know. Last couple of years have been challenging.
Yeah. That's generally in the FE sector.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've been in the FE sector, as you probably know, for about 20 years. So it's all been changed, and some things go round and come round again in education.
Yeah.
So the levy, for example, is not a big, surprise, as you may think.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that we've just got to deal with, move forward, and help our clients and partners to actually deliver under the new regime.
But in terms of what you're currently doing for Pathway in terms of the 2 years, what's your current role? What's your sort of, what do you look after? What's the day-to-day for Eddie in the office?
Well, for the last 6-7 months, I've been head of partnerships and opportunities,
yeah.
and as I say, I've been looking at opportunities for funding, partnerships with primes.
Have there been many opportunities?
Well, yes. I mean, we've had some opportunities and some successes in securing some training opportunities and funding opportunities, I should say, with primes such as People Plus, Learn Direct, Skilled UK, in London, dealing with NEETs and supporting NEETs into employment. And that's alongside all the other stuff, such as apprenticeships and the recent contract that we have for delivering advanced learning loans.
Right. Okay. So there's a lot of quite a diverse range of partners that you're currently working with.
Yes, yeah. And that's set to grow with the health and wellbeing programmes coming up. And looking now at the justice sector, for example, as an opportunity to expand the business.
Right. Okay. Is this a good time to be a training provider? I mean, there seems to be a lot of doom and gloom within the sector.
Well, it is and it isn't.
Yeah.
For some, it's been very good times. For others, not so.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of closures over the last year or so.
Yeah.
With the area reviews as well, they've had an impact on the FE sector as well, including the colleges. In Birmingham, there's a couple of colleges coming together, as you're aware. Yeah. And that's, going to change the landscape within Birmingham quite significantly, I think.
Right, okay. But us as a training provider, we work on a sort of a national basis, as you're
Yes,
aware.
I mean, we're just started delivering as far north as Lancashire, and as far south as London. So we're quite national in our perspective.
Right.
Dealing with in the Midlands as well, not only the West Midlands but the East Midlands, where we've delivered quite a lot of provision in the past.
Okay. As obviously a head of partnerships of opportunities, we're not just a skills funding agency provider, we also work in the DWP arena. Just share your thoughts with us on the changes in terms of the whole Department for Work and Pensions, that whole sector, welfare to work sector.
Yeah. I mean, we've already delivered for Newcastle College. It was on similar provision in the DWP work programme in Birmingham and the Black Country, which has been very successful for the company. However, with the health and wellbeing, we've got to up our game a little bit, and some staff training that's going on at the moment to give them the skills to actually deal with people with health-related issues.
Right.
Because that's going to be the key. With 75% of people coming through that programme anticipated to have health and physical or mental health issues.
Right.
So it's quite important that we realign that, and anybody else who's in that sector, obviously.
So we're currently looking at those opportunities as well in terms of the changes that's taking place.
Yes.
How we need to sort of adjust ourselves with potentially.
Yeah. I mean, there's a new bidding regime in there, as you know. We've just gone through and got our licence to actually deliver as a subcontractor with a DWP.
Are we continue to look at opportunities as an end-to-end provider? Is that how you're positioning yourself?
Yeah, I think that's quite important, that we can actually deal with the client from, engaging with the client to taking them through, supporting them, not only into employment but post-employment as well, which is quite good that we've got the apprenticeship programmes running, traineeship programmes, as you know, and the adult loans, so we could take them through and support them once in work.
That whole learner journey.
Yeah, because a lot of these people that are actually in work don't fail when they getting into work. They'll fail when they're in work because of situations that arise, etc. So it's being able to give them that support through education, but also the pastoral support behind that as well, to ensure that they can stay in employment and develop the skills necessary to, have a fruitful, productive life.
Okay, so if you're a training provider currently, what are the opportunities for you as an entity? Are there obviously the challenges, but what are the opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, one of the recent opportunities, as you're aware, is the ROTAP.
Yeah.
Getting on there with the SFA. The SFA's changed its contracting regime in relation to apprenticeships, and there's various strands. One of them is the main strand, which is the prime, but there's also the strands for supply and employer.
Yeah.
Now, it was very disappointing, the statistics I heard the other day on the FE Week, for example, that very few providers that were delivering as subcontractors have actually applied for ROTAP.
Yeah.
That's going to have, I think, some really deep, impacts in those businesses. I'm not sure whether it was a lack of knowledge, or other reason why they haven't applied.
Was it generally a difficult process for providers to go through? I mean, was the information there, and it just seems to be,
I think there was some confusion.
Yeah.
There's people around doing multiple bids for this. There was a £5 million cap for the main provider, and there was an element of you had to put all the money in year, and there's carryovers. Yeah. So how do you account for carryovers if you haven't got a contract?
Yes.
So there's all sorts of issues like that complicated it, and I think may have scared a lot of entrants to the market off.
Yeah.
And some may have exited prematurely because of that as well.
Right. Eddie, you mentioned this £5 million ceiling cap. That's over a 15-month period?
Yes, that's correct, Saf. It's 15 months. Obviously, that sounds very nice because we only, you think a 12-month contract. The thing is, there's what we call learners. And those learners go past. The thing about apprenticeships is that it's a measure of being able to perform across a length of time. Yeah. Now, the minimum for an apprenticeship, as you're aware, is 12 months and a day. That means theoretically, if we're going to do all the learning in the current year, we've got to start all apprenticeships by, I think it's June of 2017 to stay within the current contract. Yeah. For £5 million contract to actually get that to a level, you'd be talking 3,000 learners plus to start from April till June. I think unless you're a very large organisation with multiple channels to the market, that's going to be physically impossible or very difficult.
Okay.
The other thing is, what do you do for your business planning model as well? Because we're not even going to find out if we're successful or anybody's successful until March. Now, if we're going from March till April, to achieve those starts that we've just talked about, you would have to engage that many businesses in 2 months. Yeah. To actually, because it's not a question of going into a business and saying, oh, well, we've got some apprenticeship vacancies. There's
the whole process you've got to go through.
There's the whole process, the IEG. You've got to make sure that the person's put on the correct programme for a start. And you've got to ensure you can support that employer, give the employer what they want. And there's the fact that now, as well, while we're going through all this changes with the funding and the contracting, there's another issue about conversion from frameworks to standards. Yeah. And them actually getting people or organisations as endpoint assessment.
Endpoint assessments, yeah.
Which the uptake or the throughput of those going through and getting accredited has been fairly low.
Yeah.
So there is going to be difficulties going ahead, I think, with that.
Yeah. Okay, Eddie, sorry, you talked about large organisations and obviously you got the ceiling. You know, so if, say for example, the organisations that are out there that are above the £5 million threshold, you know, they're doing 10 million, 20 million. You've got organisations 30 million sort of skills funding agency contract delivering all that through subcontracting, predominantly some cases, and some cases part of it through themselves. You know, how do you see the landscape for those organisations?
Well, I think some organisations are going to have multiple organisations.
Yeah, they'll have multiple sort of entities.
Yes, that's it. I mean, I've heard stories of that, you know, with the road tap applications that was actually happening. I haven't got any hard evidence for that, obviously, because I've not got an inside view of the SFA and their workings. But it stands to reason that a company that's got a £30 million contract is going to try and protect its income somehow. We've, you know, a medium-sized organisation, and we see this as an opportunity for growth. So that's the approach we've taken. But we've not been, you know, too ambitious. We're actually aligning our growth to what resources we've got, what resources we can put in place.
Are we going to be open to partnership opportunities with training providers, or are we sort of...
I mean, we're always looking for good quality, and I stress that word, quality providers. As you know, we all know, and like the audience to know, that we've recently got the Ofsted 2, and we want to protect that. Part of my job role is actually writing, responding to tenders and getting work in. It's a lot easier with a grade 2, so I don't want to put that in, you know, at jeopardy. And as an organisation, we don't. The other thing is that a lot of organisations that are going there, new entrants to the market, might not understand the element of Ofsted and how to deal with Ofsted and what's the requirements, such as an employer provider. Now, we can support the employer provider in that to ensure that they're able to deliver in conjunction with ourselves. So we don't have to deliver everything. You know, our thing is about supporting businesses and their employees in any way we can.
Okay, very interesting, Eddie. I want to talk a little bit about, obviously, the next sort of 3 months, 6 months. Obviously, we mentioned apprenticeship levy, but what else is there? Is there anything else that potentially opportunities? You know, what's on your sort of mind at the moment? What's your focus?
I mean, the radar's highly tuned at the moment to two things. One is the health and wellbeing programme, and forming the relationships with the primes. And there's a few primes coming into the market. From America and other places, you know, for example. So it's making sure we understand that market and where they're going. There's going to be some companies exit the market as well. I still think that's to come. You know, every week you're hearing of a large organisation that's making redundancies and, you know, delayering management, etc. And that's a response to the volatile nature of the market. But as I say, there is opportunities there. You know, the health and wellbeing programme is going to be multi-million pounds, although the CPAs have come down in number, so it'll be larger contracts for the primes, and they'll need local provision. And that's where we can answer the call. Also, there's our BME credentials in there as well, being able to actually engage with that community. So when we talk about people with health issues, you know, from that specific sector, we've got a fairly focused, you know, product and way of working that we can actually deliver for them and enhance their provision.
You very briefly mentioned advanced learning loans. Is that a growth opportunity for us and for others? I mean, there's a lot of changes happening in the
think that in some ways that's unlimited. It's only limited to the amount of interaction we can have with businesses and how we can support those businesses. So I think that is limitless in some ways. I know obviously there is caps there, but I do see that as a growth area for the business, and an area that is going to grow ever so, you know, exponentially over the next few years as the government strive to save money on the public purse and shift that towards the individual and employer as a payment mechanism.
Okay, fantastic. You very briefly mentioned justice sector. Is that something that where you're exploring? Is there opportunities there as well?
Yeah, I'm in discussions.
Is it too early days?
It is early days. I mean, it's an aspiration of mine, as you know, and I've been working in the background for the last few months, forming links where necessary. But I think it's something, as the new contracting regime goes forward with the justice system, with the actual people in the justice system getting more power to choose, because it's going to be done on a more local level by the prison governors, for example. They're going to have a lot more involvement in that. So there's an opportunity for us to get in there at that level. But obviously it's going in with the right credentials and the right background, and it's building that up as we speak.
Okay. Just to finish off on a lighter tone, you've gone all sort of social media frenzy at this moment in time. You're on LinkedIn, you're on Twitter, you're all over the place. Just tell us your journey on social media. How are you finding it?
Well, challenging.
Challenging.
Challenging. Yeah. I always get somebody above me in the ranking. Yeah. I'm not saying who they are. It annoys me. Yeah. No, but seriously, it's a great opportunity to be seen and be heard. And it's a way of bringing people in and letting them understand you as a person and as a company, where we're going, what drives us. I didn't come into education for any other reason than trying to pay something back. I know that sounds really corny, but I was a late developer at school, went to university late, and I think everybody should be given the chance.
Eddie, thank you so much for your time. Always good to speak with you. Always great to hear from you and your sort of depths of information and knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you. Cheers.